Okay guys, so it's just me right now. Josh's family showed up, so he went out to lunch with them. We had the transmission in the car for a second. We've got the fuel line for the Sniper ran. Surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of room underneath this car as far as like a full frame or anything to hide the line, so we had to go where the factory line was and run it next to it. I said we got the sending unit in. As of right now, we've ran into a small issue. As you guys can see, I have got a mess. This is the big block transmission that we had built and serviced for him. This is the tail shaft off of the small block trans. This is the tail shaft off the big block trans. And what I think is happening is there's a little snap ring inside here. And it has to, when it goes onto the shaft here, it slides and it locks into this groove here. And we're hovering right above it at full snug, pretty much right down here where it's actually seated. And what I think is happening is there's a different thickness in this bearing versus this bearing. As you can see, there's no top groove, only a bottom groove. So what I'm hoping is either I can change just this out, because there's a snap ring on both sides. Just change this out. At a worst case scenario, unbolt these 4 bolts and redo the whole shaft, because they look the same. I don't know if they are, but so far visually they do. That's where we're at right now. I'm going to do a little bit of research, because I'll be honest, I'm not a transmission builder. I'm guessing. This is a little bit of testing for me and for the future. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit further and let's see where it gets us. All right guys, so it took me a minute. I had to take a break, but got this tail shaft switched out. The other one, as I pointed out earlier, did not have these 2 bolt holes, and behind this plate is a little C-clip. It, for some reason, did not want to go back into place. Eventually I figured out that you have to shift this into 2nd gear, so that way when the tail shaft goes in, it locks into where the park gear is and allows it to seat further. So I believe, and I'm not a well, I don't know how to build transmissions, period, but this should be working and functional. So now we'll get it in the car and hopefully get this beast in there, and then get this thing out of here so we can move on to some Dakota stuff. Anyways, we got the motor off the stand and we got the transmission and the converter in. Mostly, I mean, it's loosely in there. It's the bolts and nuts are all holding it. We do gotta check the flex plate bolts, make sure that they're torqued down well, and we're ready to set her in there. So that's exciting. That's kind of where we're at for right now. I might prop up the camera and do a time lapse of setting this in. It's probably gonna take us a minute because a normal car ends right here, and we've got about another 2 feet, and then you have another 4 to 6 inches because of the brush guard. And we would take the bumper off, but I don't know if we'll be able to see this because it's dark, but it's welded on. This is not coming off unless you cut the bumper off, and we're not about to do that. Set in. We're working on getting the transmission mounted or married. GoPro is about to die. Just wanted to give a little quick update of it kind of sitting in there. We'll give you another one here in just a second. All right guys, so Josh, and he's done for the night, but we've got the 440 in. We still got to tighten some bolts, but the motor mount bolts are tight. We still got to do some bell housing bolts. The biggest task of the day was to get it setting in here, which we now have. We will probably roll it in for tonight, and then we'll start picking away at the wiring. As I pointed out earlier, the wiring on this thing is janky, butt connected, spliced, just not right. So surprisingly, going in was a little smidge easier than we thought it might be, but knock on wood for the rest of the project, because there's still a long way to go. We are back in the garage. Josh is actually at the wrecking yard going to grab a few more things, as far as some just small stuff. We got like a dipstick and some few things that we need to grab. But to pick up where we left off, motor's in, bolted. We're going to go through our little checklist that we got today. We're going to try to prime the oil, set the trans linkage, torque converter bolts, housing bolts. And that's pretty much the gist. So we're going to try to get underneath the car and make some things happen today, so that way hopefully the goal by the end of the day is ready to fire. Now granted, highlight ready, because we're gonna have to take this to the exhaust shop and get the exhaust connected before we can put the O2 bung in for the sniper. So we're just trying to get everything ready, so when we go drop it off, get that done. All right guys, man, I don't know if that's my face or do I got in my face, or is it just camera? All right guys, so we're pretty much done for the night, at least. We got it, I don't know, we'll get a little pan back so that way everybody can get an idea. It's pretty much tucked as good as it can be with the harness that was in it. Granted, if we would have started with the new harness ourselves, there's still a lot that we would do differently to make it even cleaner than it is. But this big box was all the way up here, and there's loomed wire coming over and cutting across here and looked like crap in my opinion and Josh's opinion. And then the same thing over here, there's a bunch of wires coming across the motor, and now we at least got them down low, and we still got some cleaning up to do up here. This isn't finished 100%, but we've been working away. We got the sniper bolted on underneath there. We still got to figure out some pulleys and make them pretty. But overall, we're moving forward. We got most of our list done for the day. We soldered some wires down in here, so this comes down to where the distributor is and plugs in, and then we've got the alternator. So we loomed this all up nice, extended the wires that we could, fixed and heat shrinked the wires that we felt like were tacky, and that's about it for right now. We really need to, like I said, figure out the pulleys. I need to run the Holley power and ground to the battery. That'll be easy, and then this goes to the fuel pump, so I gotta run that through the car. So on the wiring side, we're pretty freaking close to done. We got exhaust to connect the exhaust, or the headers to the original exhaust, the pulleys, prime the oil, fuel lines ran, prime the oil, transmission dipstick, stab the distributor, obviously plug wires. But otherwise we're looking good. Hopefully the car gods are on our side with finding the pulleys that we need, because that honestly is the biggest hang up to firing this thing, and the bracketry, because we need the alternator and everything in its location. So let's hope for that to work out for us, and then we'll see you guys here in the morning. All right guys, so we have ran into a couple of snags. I'm out here by myself as of right now, but can't remember exactly where we left off the last time I recorded, but I officially have the sniper hardwired to the battery, which is all loomed up in here and cleaned. Let's see if I can get all this stuff out of the way and cleaned up, so it's all loomed. And then obviously I've got this little connection here. Still got some wiring to clean up. Got the oil finally primed. For those of you that don't know, you prime the oil in these. This is an old distributor shaft that I tapped crooked and then screwed a bolt in so I could shove this down in here. Most of the time you weld one, but I don't have a welder here right now. So got this to where it keys into the oil pump. I don't have the drill attachment on, but you put the drill on it and you crank it, and then this jumps up. On the lowest setting, we're about 65, 75 PSI, depending on where the drill is at, which I believe is good. I took the valve cover off on that side, on the driver's side, and seen oil get up, and I can obviously see oil coming through the lifters. But anyways, we had some bracketry problems. I found an alternator bracket, made some spacers, found another meta person that I believe will become a good friend and source later in life. He's got a bunch of actual real Hemis. He had some bracketry for the water pump, or the power steering pump. So I think I've got most of that figured out. I've got it to where it turns over with the key, so that's good. Right now what I'm trying to figure out is I'm trying to figure the spark plug wires out, so that way they go onto the new distributor. I will get it timed and stick the distributor tonight, get everything plugged in. I've got the alternator plugged in. I got the new wire made where it comes down, around, and out of the way to where you don't really see it. I had to remake the alternator bracket, tensioner bracket. So I got that all out of the way. I still have to wire the fuel pump in the back of the car, which I'll probably start working on that here shortly. But I'm gonna make a list of things that I need, because I do need to still mount the coil, which I will work on. I believe I'm gonna mount it right here, not entirely sure. And then let's see, this will droop over and then plug into the coil. New water pump housing for the Charger will be here tomorrow instead of a motorhome. I'm hoping that it doesn't change too much of the bracketry. I don't think it will, but we'll find out. So there is that scenario. We're really close. I've pretty much decided by speaking to my pretty knowledgeable buddy that we just met, that the compression on this, even though it's 10-to-1, doesn't sound like a ton of compression, but for these crappy heads is a lot. So it's going to be borderline pushing the limits of race gas slash premium for sure. So I'm a little nervous there. We'll have to run some good gas in it and see where it goes. But for right now, that is the overall update as of where we're at right this moment. Cranks over as soon as we hook the fuel pump up and we stick the distributor and figure out the wires. Theoretically it's ready to crank and fire, and once we know it runs right and it's not coming out, we'll final assembly everything and put the radiator and such in. Alright guys, so we just left one of my favorite stores, the general store. I did a little clip it to where you guys could see the automotive section, but we got some stuff for the car. Hopefully we have everything we need to do to fire this beast up, and let's get it out of our lives so we can get that Dakota, huh?
When you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range, cause I grind through the clouds.
Alright guys, we have got the General outside. We'll be honest, we've already tried to test fire it. I would have been recording, but there's just so much going on with the older motors and breaking in this cam and making sure the tune's right and making sure I'm getting the dash read right and timing's right. The balancing act of maneuvering a camera around and trying to stay positive with what we're solving is pretty difficult. But right now we've got coolant in it, or we're kind of bleeding it, I should say. We did have it running for a second. We heard a little bit of a tick, so we're going to try to make sure that we're okay there. So we shut it off, or I shouldn't say tick. It sounded like we were having a misfire, and we wanted to make sure the plug wires were on because they are kind of hard to get into the areas. So anyways, that's where we're at for right now. I'm sorry that we didn't film first startup. Once we get it running semi properly, we'll pick the camera back up. All right guys, so we're gonna try to start it. It's a little heat soaked, so it might not want to kick right now, but we'll try. Engine RPM about 2,000 RPM. It's it's kind of hard. As soon as I hit that 2,000 mark, it wants to peak. So I'm kind of just holding it here at 1900 and occasionally blipping the throttle. Sounds like it's running on all 8. We still have some timing that we need to figure out. But we got to break in the cam first. Okay, so she's running fairly well. Thanks to Josh's help and Kruger's, of course. Yeah. But like I said before, we got a lot of coolant on it, so we got to kind of clean it up. She's idling a little better. We got to do some tuning and we'll start camming her be good. I'm not gonna lie, that puts a smile on my face. We're going for the first semi-drive to the car wash to hopefully clean this thing up a little bit. It probably needs a little bit more topped off on a couple of fluids. We're not gonna beat on her too much. But she does spin now. She did not do that before.
No. Watch out for it.
Yeah, I'm watching. And that's where it kicks into timing. Oh, I cannot wait for this thing to be tuned. That thing just fucking came alive and I wasn't even... It's probably only in the 400s somewhere. If it's on a good day, maybe touching 5. But with some better heads, it'll definitely be in the 5s.
Not bad for some crappy heads, though.
No, really. I mean, right now we're 204 degrees, so I mean that's tolerable. Not as great as I'd like it to be, honestly, with it rolling.
Well, and again, I think the radiator at the least needs flushed, preferably a new radiator.
supposed to be. This is, now I'm feeling like I'm being thrown back into childhood, bro. Like, before I really wasn't cheese, but this is pretty fucking cool. Oh my gosh.
Now it's a Charger. Well, there she is in all her glory. Again, still tuning it in.
We're definitely gonna have to switch sides on that tire. Yeah, that is so cool. And before I forget, while the camera's rolling, I know I said it a few times, but I do appreciate Josh for helping on this deal to make it go as smoothly as it did. I know he didn't get to devote as much time as he had hoped, but at the same time, it's been a tremendous help with him doing some of the runs and grabbing parts and working on it when I'm not here, and vice versa. So it definitely sped the process up. We've got some tuning to do, but for right now, I think that's going to do it for this video. But you're going to want to stay tuned because there's more burnouts to come with this thing and some more tuning and some shenanigans, hopefully, before we give it back. So we'll see you guys next time. Keep it crazy. Like, share, and subscribe.